Hey everybody, so I wanted to read you this email that I got from Chase Bank last night around 11:20 p.m. It says, "We continue to work hard to prepare as many applications as possible for processing when the SBA begins taking new applications. However, the SBA recently issued new guidance that we want to communicate to customers whose application is in process, as well as those who have already received funding. The new guidance strengthens some of the language regarding qualifications for a Paycheck Protection Program loan. Specifically, we would like to remind you, 1. When you applied, you certified that current economic uncertainty makes this loan request necessary to support ongoing operations of the applicant. 2. You have the opportunity to withdraw your application if you do not feel you meet this criteria. 3. If you've already been funded and you believe you do not meet this criteria, you can repay your loan by May 7, 2020, and the SBA will treat that repayment as being in good faith. If you cannot certify and want us to stop processing your application or you want to return your funding, you'll need to follow the instructions at the bottom of this email. Read the important information below before you make any decisions. Please be sure to read the FAQ shown below in its entirety, and if necessary, consult with your counsel or advisor." 31. Question: do businesses owned by large companies with adequate sources of liquidity to support the business's ongoing operations qualify for a PPP loan? Answer: in addition to reviewing applicable affiliation rules to determine eligibility, all borrowers must assess their economic need for a PPP loan under the standard established by the CARES Act and the PPP regulations at the time of the loan application. Although the CARES Act suspends the ordinary requirement that borrowers must be unable to obtain credit elsewhere, borrowers still must certify in good faith that their PPP loan request is necessary. Specifically, before submitting a PPP application, all borrowers should review carefully the required certification that current economic uncertainty makes this loan request necessary to support the ongoing operations of the applicant. Borrowers must make this certification in good faith, taking into account their current business activity and their ability to access other sources of liquidity sufficient to support their ongoing operations in a manner that is not significantly detrimental to the business. For example, it is unlikely that a public company with substantial market value and access to capital markets will be able to make the required certification in good faith, and such a company should be prepared to demonstrate to SBA upon request the basis for its certification. Lenders may rely on a borrower's certification regarding the necessity of the loan request. Any borrower that's applied for a PPP loan prior to the issuance of this guidance and repays the loan in full by May 7, 2020 will be deemed by the SBA to have made the required certification in good faith. Please remember that you also certified you understood that knowingly making a false statement to obtain a guaranteed loan from the SBA is punishable under the law, including imprisonment by not more than 5 years and a fine of $250,000. This is hysterical. Like, this part over here is the part that I find particularly funny. For example, it is unlikely that a public company with substantial market value and access to capital markets will be able to make the required certification in good faith. For example, it is unlikely that someone that's approaching 800 pounds should have their hand in the cookie jar. I mean, this is just hysterical. And the part where they say lenders may rely on a borrower's certification regarding the necessity of the loan request. Come on. This right over here is Chase saying to themselves, "Oh, yeah, we had no idea. You know, we just relied on what you said. We relied on what you said, dog. Like, you know, it's not like there was any reason for us to believe that there was any possibility that you were not eligible for this at all, because, you know, we didn't know. We just didn't know. You know, look at the 10K, you know, it's not like for the past 5 years they made, 16 million, 30 million net profit, 30 million net profit, 30 million, 41 million last year. You know, we didn't know. You know, Shake Shack over here, you know, net income, 2 million, 3 million, 22 million, 15 million. Like, well, didn't know. Just didn't know. And it's just funny the way they explain it, because when you Google it, they talk about it like they issued a new guideline. It's a new, you know, this is an FAQ just in case it was unsure. When you Google Paycheck Protection Program, which I clearly cannot spell, it says the Paycheck Protection Program is a loan designed to provide a direct incentive for small businesses. Next, an SBA loan that helps businesses keep their workforce. The Paycheck Protection Program authorizes $349 billion in forgivable loans to small businesses. Hint: if you are filing 10Ks with the SEC, you are probably not a small business. If you make this much net income each year, you're probably not a small business. And I love the way this has absolutely no teeth whatsoever. It's not that you were just clearly criminally breaking the law, knowing you were breaking the law. It's just a new guidance, just in case you weren't sure, just in case you didn't know that when you hit 800 pounds, you should keep your hand out of the cookie jar. I find it hysterical. And there are people that have said, what makes this company's employees less important than this company's employees? And this is not really a matter of importance. Now, I've heard people say things like, well, what makes the employees of that small barbershop more important than Ruth's Chris employees, more important than Potbelly's employees, more important than Shake Shack's employees? By even trying to answer this question, you have already broken my first rule of engagement, which is that you do not accept the premise of assholes. I don't show up at a food stamps office and say, what makes these people more hungry than me? What makes them more important than me? That would be ridiculous. I have a business that employs 12 people. I have a Zaumau rework station in the store. I have Vandersteen 3 speakers that I spend $1,000 for as a luxury in my apartment. And I have a refrigerator filled with food that I'm more than capable of purchasing and stockpiling with the money that's in my bank account. For me to take money out of a program that is designed for people who don't know when their next meal is going to come from and risk them not being able to eat so that I can get a small amount that is meaningless to me would make me a piece of shit scoundrel of a human being. It has nothing to do with importance. It's not about who is more important than anything. By even trying to answer that question, you have just accepted the premise of an asshole, which is something that you shouldn't do. It's not about importance. It is about people misrepresenting their situation in broad daylight in order to get something that was never intended for them. The food stamps program or temporary assistance for needy families, that's not for me. That was not intended or designed for me. For me to take money out of that program would be fucked up and wrong. It's not that those people are more important than me. They deserve food more than I do. It's that those programs were designed for people who don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And if you're at a point in your life where your fridge is entirely stocked and you still got lots of money in your bank account, it would be kind of being a dick to misuse the system, lie, misrepresent your business and your needs in order to apply for that program. And this is that on a different scale. But the thing that I think is really interesting here is where they talk about please remember you certified that you knowingly making a false statement to obtain the loan is punishable under law, imprisonment of not more than 5 years, and fine of $250,000. But you see, this is not a case of knowingly making a false statement. This is not a lie. This is just a mistake. This is whoopsie daisy, oh, my bad. When I woke up this morning, I didn't notice that I was publicly listed on the stock market and that we had $41 million in net profit, 5,000 employees, and dozens of ways that we'd be able to get capital to raise for our business. I forgot. I must have just not looked in the mirror. Come on. And you know that none of these individuals are going to get punishment. They're not going to get a fee of $250,000. They're not going to get imprisonment of 5 years or 2 years or 1 day or 1 hour. There's going to be no repercussions whatsoever. But if you were to lie and misrepresent your income, if you were to lie in order to get temporary assistance for needy families, or food stamps, or government-subsidized housing, or anything else, what do you think would happen to you? Nobody's actually going to get punished. They're going to give the money back, and, nobody's going to care. This thing of imprisonment or fines, they're not going to see a fine. And even if they did see a fine, even if you did see a fine of up to $250,000, the company makes this much a year. That doesn't matter. This is like giving Bill Gates a speeding ticket of $75. It's just, it's a joke. And I thought that you would find this email kind of funny. But these companies did give the money back. I heard that Potbelly, Shake Shack, and Ruth's Chris did give the money back. And I think that it's good that they did that. But I'm kind of conflicted because on one hand, it's a good thing that they gave it back. On the other hand, would they have given it back if we were in the world of like 15 to 30 years ago where news did not travel as quickly, where people did not become informed as quickly, where people weren't able to create arguments and speak and share them on the internet as quickly? I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about this. Like, on one hand, obviously people should be given the opportunity to say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I messed up, I was wrong, my bad," and just be forgiven for it. On the other hand, there's the question of whether they would have done this at all if they weren't pushed to. And there's also the fact that even though they did give the money back, that is not going to go directly back into the program. That doesn't mean that people who applied for loans that are actual small businesses are going to immediately be funded. There are businesses that could have been funded a week and a half ago that right now are still not funded, and for all we know, they've already went out of business. And once they're already out of business, once they've been kicked out of a certain space, or once they have defaulted on their supply chain payments, they're done. It's not like you can just put them in a time machine after you give them the money. They're done. So it does make me wonder for the businesses that did actually go under because larger publicly traded companies lied about this. What is it that they can actually do to seek redemption from the business owners that got shut out of this program who honestly represented themselves when they applied for it?